What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Over the past year, I've been so busy working on the race Jeep that a lot of the other projects and maintenance on all of the other Jeeps have fallen behind.
Today we're going to be doing an at-home alignment on the Silver Jeep and on the Gladiator.
So we're going to take a look at how to do an at-home alignment, like Cassie just said, not only on aftermarket steering, but also factory steering. Show you guys how to do it and save a little bit of money. Alignments definitely aren't the cheapest things to get, and when you're driving a Jeep, whether you're off-roading or you're just doing projects constantly on it, the alignments can tend to add up. Now, over the past few years, I've made quite a few videos showing you guys how to install aftermarket control arms, getting your caster and pinion angle set, but one thing I've never really shown is how to actually set your toe and readjust your steering wheel. So if you add on a new steering system to your Jeep, you're gonna have to align it. If you smash into a rock and bend your tie rod, you're gonna have to realign it. And luckily, it is pretty simple to do at home, whether you have a shop or just a driveway with a set of these alignment plates. Now, there are a ton of these available. These specifically, we got on Amazon for, I think,
Amazon for like 60 bucks.
They came raw steel, so we just painted them black. And really, this is all we're going to need. This, a measuring tape, and then some tools, which I'll show you here in a little bit, to do your own at-home alignment. So we're gonna start off on the Gladiator, which means the first things we have to do is jack it up, take the tires and wheels off, and put it on jack stands. So there's a few ways to see if you need an alignment outside of the ordinary, like I just mentioned, whether you swap something on or you hit something. The first is gonna be abnormal tire wear. And unfortunately, we caught this a little bit too late because both of our front tires are much more worn compared to the rear. So this was the driver, which isn't horrible, but the passenger tire, as you can see, is just wearing a lot faster, especially compared to the others. So we'll take a look at the rear here, just to show you guys what I'm talking about. We have plenty of tread here on the rear. It's mostly just the front passenger that's having a hard time staying alive. I do not remember the last time this Jeep had an alignment. So I'm curious to see how far out of spec our toe is. Now, before we go too far, I wanna sit under the Jeep and kind of explain the steering system and how this works. So on a solid front axle, we have our tie rod here, which is our center bar, which connects both of our tires, and that's what's going to set our toe. Our drag link is what actually connects our steering knuckle on one side over to our steering box up here. So when you turn the steering wheel, this pitman arm turns our drag link, which in turn turns our tie rod.
Now we're gonna throw our alignment plates on. Doesn't matter what kind of car you got, Jeep, Dodge, Chevy, these are gonna line up with multiple kinds of bolt patterns. We're gonna put these on, tighten our lug nuts down, and the only thing you have to remember is, or keep in mind, is the angle that you put this at. You
want these to be the exact same angle both on the passenger and driver side, but there are situations where you can't have it perfectly level set at zero. In our case, we have a control arm right there, maybe your front drive shaft's in the way. So if you do have to angle it down slightly, make sure that the other side is set at that exact same angle. So these plates are very simple. All it's going to do is give us a measurement showing us how much toe in or toe out that our tires have, and that's set with the tie rod. So Cassie's gonna give us a little example. The neutral toe, zero toe, both tires would be facing the exact same way, heading straight. A little bit of toe in, over exaggerated. The front side of the tires are gonna be angled in more than the back, and then toe out, it would actually be the exact opposite. So the front side of the tires are angling out more. Now, there's a lot of people who have various opinions on toe in versus toe out. Toe out is a good way to kind of hide some unwanted steering characteristics, but it's not going to turn, actually it's going to turn radiously a little bit better, but your high speed stability isn't gonna be there. So typically, toe in is the best way to go. And when you're doing it with alignment plates like this, we're not looking at it like we would on an alignment rack with degrees. We're actually looking at it in inches. So you might have to play around with it, either a 1/16 of an inch toe in or maybe an 1/8 of an inch toe in, depending on how big your tires are. Generally, the larger tires, you're gonna wanna go with a larger, numerically higher number because it's going to keep that same degree. So a lot of rambling, I'll start rambling, but what we're gonna do is go ahead and get the other side on at this same angle, grab a tape measure and measure in the front and back, get an initial toe reading.
How off do you think it's gonna be?
I think we're probably, I think we're off probably by a 1/4 inch. The amount of wear on these tires, I think we're off pretty good. And it sucks. I mean, we will, after this, do a rotation to try to get a little more out of these, throw the spare in there. But I wish we would have caught this sooner. But unfortunately, the race Jeep just took a lot of time. So while Cassie's on that, as you can tell, I'm in Project Teardown on the race Jeep. There's a lot of small projects I want to knock out, like painting everything. We spray painted it all before hammers really quick, but unfortunately it got covered in mud the first day we were out there. And like the axles, they're like, the flash rust from the acidity of the mud out there is insane. So we're doing full teardown mode. Really gonna clean this thing up to make sure it looks good and lasts good for quite a while.
I'm just gonna make sure that they're tightened down because I don't want the rotor flopping around and then our readings aren't right.
We're just gonna take a measurement over to the other side and we're gonna do it on the same thing on the back here and write down our numbers and find out if there's a positive difference or a negative difference. So
71.5. I guess.
Yeah, 71.5.
71.5. Oh wow, yeah, 71 3/4.
71 3/4. So, what did I guess? Cassie, what did I guess? A 1/4 inch?
1/4 inch.
Let's see it,
No
throw
at
back up
all.
there. 71 3/4. So that means we are towed in a 1/4 inch. We actually need to lengthen or make our tie rod a little bit longer. So now that we know which way to adjust our tie rod, there's a difference between aftermarket steering and factory steering. A lot of the factory and even some aftermarket, they use pinch clamp style. So all you have to do is loosen that nut or bolt, unthread it, you're good to go. But a lot of the stronger, more beefy aftermarket steering is going to use jam nuts to prevent your tie rod from rotating. If you do have the opportunity, get a set of crow's feet wrenches. It really helps out loosening jam nuts, not only taking them off, but also getting these tight to the proper spec. There we go.
Woo!
You'll have one jam nut that's right hand thread and the other side will be left hand thread. And usually those are designated with a little line cut into either the nut or the threaded portion of your tie rod.
So there's that line, that way you know it's a left hand thread, so it's opposite from a regular. Nice shot of your butt. Stop, go back the other way.
The front is at 71 9/16, which is just that little 16th tack after the half. And the rear is at 71 11/16. We were able to get a full 1/8 inch of toe in out of it. So as you can tell, very minute changes on the actual tie rod here. We rotated it up, probably less than 30 degrees of movement, but that made a drastic change in our toe in. So just like that, we tighten up our jam nuts and put everything back together.
But we are also going to do a tire rotation.
Hopefully get a little more life.
Maybe, I don't know. This one is, it's getting there.
And while we're at it, we decided to add some balance beads to the tires. There's a slight shimmy still, so we decided to go ahead and do some balance beads. On the first tire, we did a little funnel contraption. You pull the valve core out, take all the air out of the tire, and just slowly pour them in with the funnel, but that takes quite a while.
Very slowly.
And the other option is to actually break the bead and just pour them in directly. So we used the
I still need the funnel for that.
250 to just drive on the tire. And I should be able to pry it open enough.
Yeah.
But both methods definitely took a while. I think it took me probably 10 minutes to break the bead of the tire to pour these in. Actually, no, this is a lot faster.
This is much faster.
Definitely breaking the bead down and just directly pouring them in is a lot easier. All right, so how about one more half scoop for good luck?
What, then, okay.
Well, this tire doesn't have any weights on it, so I don't know the last time this was balanced.
It probably fell off.
Yeah. All right, so now we just reseat the bead, and now we can get around to doing our tire rotation. So the Gladiator is wrapped up and out of the shop, and all we have left to do is the LJ. So we're gonna do the exact same steps, take the wheels and tires off, put our alignment plates on, and set the toe on this.
Except we're also gonna show you guys how to recenter the steering wheel, because I know on this one, it is quite a bit off to the left.
So that is the last step. After you set the toe, you go in, and if you need to recenter your steering wheel, that's gonna be the last step. We just did an initial measurement on Cassie's, and it is towed out like crazy. And you actually couldn't really tell it on the tires until we pulled them out. But look at the tread wear on the inside right here.
This is the passenger.
Yeah, actually pretty bad, and this side's starting to wear a little bit too. So let's go ahead and show them the measurements. So we're at 64.5 on the front and 63.75 on the rear. So the front number is higher, meaning it is towed out. What is the difference? A 3/4.5. So it's towed out by 3/4 of an inch. Adjusting a stock steering system is almost just as easy as what we just did. Only difference is these just aren't as strong for heavy duty off-roading. So as you can tell, all it is a little pinch clamp that pinches the threads onto our tie rod end. So they're a lot easier to get out of adjustment. If you hit a curb, these threads can skip and push in there. So a stock steering linkage, you might have to reset your alignment a little more often. So all we're gonna do is loosen these clamps on the tie rod. There's one over there and one over there, and make our adjustments. Once again, in this case, we are going to shorten the tie rod so it sucks it in and takes some of that toe out. Toe out. So back here, you can see a little bit better on how this actually works. There's a slit in the tie rod that kind of clamps onto our tie rod threads. So definitely want to spray that with PB Blaster so we can loosen this up. But one thing I've noticed is that it's easier just to get a little flat tip here and a hammer and just give it a few hits right there to help loosen it up, as well as expand our tie rod. If you don't have the tie rod adjuster tool, I'll actually show you what it is. I thought I used to have one. All it does is it grabs that slit in the back. When you pull it, it kind of opens up the bar away from the threads. You can either run to the store, I'll throw a link in the video description in case you want to buy one, you can. Or you can just get a big pipe wrench. The only bad thing about this is it does kind of mar up your tie rod a little bit whenever it grabs. But the funny thing is I've actually seen alignment shops use these, and you'll notice because there's nice little marks on your tie rod after. We're just gonna put a few turns on this and make sure we're going in the right direction.
All right, so we're going in the right direction. We just need to keep going to about 64.1/8.
So about another 1/4 inch.
64.1/8, and now we are even. All right, so the rear is 64 3/16, so now the front is about 64 1/16, which means we are now about 1/8 off, which is exactly where we want it to be.
1/8 inch towed in, so we are good to go. With all of that wrapped up, it's time to hit the road, not only to make sure everything feels right, but also to make sure our steering wheel doesn't need aligned. This was off already before, but whenever you do adjust your tie rod, it is going to affect your steering wheel location. So in our case, it might have either brought it back into the correct spot or made it worse. Now on newer Jeeps, such as the JK and the Gladiator, if your steering wheel is way too far offset, it's actually gonna cause the vehicle stability control to start kicking on, because it's gonna think that it's in a slide. It senses the steering wheel's over to the left and it's going straight. It's like, oh, this isn't right. Before you leave the garage, put your wheels as straight as possible. Go ahead and adjust that turnbuckle and try to get it as close as possible. So to recenter the steering wheel, we're gonna come down here to our drag link, which attaches to the steering box right here. We just loosen these two nuts right here and turn this turnbuckle assembly and watch the steering wheel to see if it's going in the correct direction.
All right, it's still a little bit to the left, so we're definitely gonna have to adjust it.
I'm gonna adjust it until it looks like it's perfectly straight.
There you go, keep going. Right there.
A little bit more, you think?
Yeah, it needs to go a little bit more. Right there.
Much better. So as you can tell, pretty simple to adjust. You know, it might take you a few times, but there's really no reason for your toe and steering wheel to take it all the way to an alignment shop and pay them 80 something bucks to do it. The steering wheel centering is probably the most common thing that I've seen after an off-roading trip. You know, if that collar slips a little bit, your steering wheel is going to be off, or if anything bends, your steering wheel is going to be off. It's a very simple thing to reset. That's probably going to sum it up for this video, guys. I just wanted to show you a quick video showing these alignment plates and how to adjust your toe and steering wheel. Something I've never showed on the channel, and realistically, it's a very handy thing to have in your toolbox in your garage, and it pays for itself pretty quick. And it was just something we needed to do on the Jeep. So we got 2 alignments done. We still need to center the Gladiator steering wheel, but follow the same procedure. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up. If you have any other video ideas or requests, let me know down in the comments below. And I want to hear your thoughts. If any of you guys are running specific toe alignment specs, let me know. I'd like to hear your experience. See you guys later.